It's Monday night. It's February 13th, 2023. Happy early Valentine's Day to everybody. For all those guys listening, you still got time to go get your lovely lady a gift. You're running out of time, but you still got time. You better do that tomorrow, or you might be in the doghouse. I'm Tanner Lee. My co-host with me, like always, Evan Webb. Webby, what's going on?
It's Monday and not feeling great today. But
nope. It was not a fun sports day yesterday.
Especially for you.
Right when our Boilermakers lost, I said, well, Chiefs are winning Super Bowl tonight. And that's what happened. So
yep.
I am happy for George Karlaftis, but that's it. That's it.
Yes, I was happy to see him, and I was hoping he may be able to make a play, which he Eagles have a great offensive line. Not to listen to the Super Bowl podcast, which I'd rather talk about the Super Bowl than the game that happened before the game yesterday. But I was hoping he would scoop up that fumble.
Yeah.
But he ended up, doing a smart play and let his teammate get it. So kudos to him for having the awareness.
Yep, it's always nice to see a Boilermaker get a Super Bowl ring on their hand for sure, and in his rookie year too.
Yeah,
good for him. But yeah, back in the hardwood, frustrating game yesterday. A game that saw Purdue travel to Evanston, a team they've beat 12 straight times entering yesterday's matchup. They won 5 straight in Evanston entering yesterday's matchup. We're 4-point favorites, 4.5-point favorites, depending on the line you looked at. Just a weird game. Purdue was up 7.5 after shooting the ball pretty well, especially from 3-point range in the first half. Felt like we probably should have been up 12, maybe 14
Should have been at least
points.
9 because they called that BS goaltending call that wasn't a goaltend.
Yep. So that had me a little concerned. I'm like, all right, I thought we played pretty well, and Northwestern was just finding a way to hang around. And then
the second wasn't doing much at all, which was good, but also a little concerning.
A guy that was averaging 15 points per game had what? A half 3-5. I don't even know what he had.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
At the time. Not a lot, which unfortunately wouldn't be par for the course. And then second half, I wasn't able to watch. I listened as I was making a drive to go do something, and I got to be honest. Listening on the radio, there's pros and cons. You get to listen to our own guys, which is better than listen to Dave Refson, Northwestern grad, or Stephen Barta, who's just Stephen Barta.
I didn't know Refson was a Northwestern grad.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of the Big Ten Network guys are.
That makes sense.
A big commentary school. That and Syracuse, or a majority of your guys you see on TV probably went there. So it was good to listen to Rob Blackman and Bobby Buckets Riddell, but at the same time, it's frustrating when I can't see what's going on, especially from an officiating standpoint. And I get a lot more nervous listening to a radio during a close game than I do watching on TV.
Yep.
But I find myself getting more nervous watching a close game on TV than I do being there in person.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just maybe just the ability to pace, around your house or whatever, where as a game, you're kind of just locked into where you're at and you're kind of just, especially where, we're fortunate to sit, really any seat in Mackey's a good one, but like you're kind of just locked into the play and you're not hearing the commentators talk about anything. So you're just kind of just focused on the game itself. But yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Well, and of course, listening on the radio, you're locked into your car and you can't really do much. And I was listening on the TuneIn app, which was good for the most part, but there was 2 different times. The only thing I can think of is because I have the free version and not the paid version. 2 different times during the game, it cuts away from the game and runs 4 30-second ads. Then comes back and picks it up. And one time when it did it, we were up 1.
Oh, God.
And I am saying a lot of words I'm not going to say right now because I don't want to get us an explicit rating. And then it comes back and we're down.
Oh, God.
Which that's when my fiance pulled it up on her phone. It was starting to follow the on the score app. Yeah, the Gamecast. So
I've had it before where I've listened to the TuneIn app and the score, because I'll plug in my phone to my car. Right. Like it'll have the score like on not the dash, but the screen.
The screen, yeah.
And I've had it before where the score is ahead of the commentary. So it hasn't happened because I don't listen to the TuneIn app very much anymore. I've usually just find I just go through the Purdue Sports app.
I should have done that. Yeah,
you can get the radio there. But I remember there were a couple of years ago I listened to I'd be driving, I'd listen to a game, and like all of a sudden I see the score. I'm like, something good happens for us. And look up and see the score, and we're down like 6. I'm like, oh, what the heck is going on? And all of a sudden, like it's like 2 minutes behind actual gameplay. But yeah, it's tough. Different people. I know, like in our own group chat, someone's stream is a little bit slower, so one person will text the group, and we're like, wait, I'm not there yet.
Well, I was gonna put it on 1380 AM up here in Fort Wayne because they cover Purdue basketball and football, but it was only gonna be good for a night and a half of my drive where I was going. Yeah. So I was like, I better just put on TuneIn. I should have done the Purdue Sports app, like you said. And I think that's a new feature they added just this year.
I just found out about this year. I was just like, it was one of the first games I was like, I had to drive or whatever, and I was trying to figure out the best way to listen to it because there was a while I couldn't even listen to the TuneIn app because it was, I didn't have the paid version. And it was doing the same thing you said, where it was just playing a bunch of ads, and I went to the app and it said, join radio stream or whatever. And I was like, what's this? And then sure enough, it worked. So I'll use that every time.
I will say, and I know we're kind of off topic here. I will say it's very nice.
I don't want to talk about the game, so it's fine.
It's very nice now that Purdue football and basketball are both on 96.5 WAZY instead of one being on there and the other one being on 95.7. Because I could never get that to work. I could never get that to work for basketball. So it's nice now that at least that's going to work. But and the thing that was frustrating, and I'm sure it's very frustrating to watch, it sounded like the officiating was really bad in the second half. I couldn't tell that from the radio broadcast. That's what was frustrating on my end. So from that standpoint, I'm glad I didn't get to watch it because I'd probably be even more fired up than I am right now.
Yeah. I mean, as you and our friend group know, I'm pretty critical of the officials for no reason other than just I like to complain.
Well, you were official in your college days in intramural, so
and that's part of any of us. Like I just look, I just always just go back, and again, that was it's been every year just gets farther and farther away. But
we're not talking about that.
Being trained by a guy who's now an NBA official, who would call like it is. He taught us very obviously, again, we're doing intramural, so we're not even close to the level of even doing a varsity high school game. But like, just certain things you always look for, like don't anticipate a call. Just focusing on your area of coverage. Don't not calling outside of it unless you are 1,000% sure, sort of thing. Bill Borowski. And just like little things like that. And when I just see certain things, I'm just like. Come on, man. I learned that in like intramurals that you're not supposed to like do something like that, or like you're supposed to be watching this. Why aren't you watching this? And it just drives me crazy. Or just like, but like it and like I said, I don't want to be the people that always complain about, I don't want to complain about the officials, but I want to complain about the officials. I don't like that's the reason why we lost. Purdue had 16 turnovers. That's not a recipe, especially on the road. That's not a recipe for success, especially when you don't hit a three after from halfway point of the first half, like ever, which is crazy. But you watch that second half and just the what Northwestern was able to get away with. They trapped Zach really, really well. They were very fast. Like, as soon as he had the ball, he turned around and he had two guys on him, which again goes back to there's supposed to be a cylinder rule. Like he could not move. But yet, and then he's getting absolutely hammered. A couple times, like Lawyer was getting hammered. First was getting thrown to the ground, and then nothing. And then they get the steal, they go, and then a guy lowers his shoulder into Morton, sends him flying, and it's a charge it's a block and one. It's just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, I mean, I get they're human, they're overworked, all that stuff. But it's just like at the end of the day, it's just like, what are we doing out here? Like, and I don't want it to be like every single game, but it's like. It just feels like, I feel like, back in the 70s and the 80s, having a tall guy was, beneficial because, again, the basket's 10 feet no matter where you go, and having someone who is a foot closer than everybody else should be an advantage. But it feels like the officials are now trying to be like, well, they have this advantage, so we should even out the playing field to make it a more competitive game. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I was very fired up. I usually get fired up anyways during games, but I was just like, I couldn't believe the physicality that they were getting away with. I was in the Big Ten's physical anyways, but it was just like, I couldn't believe what they were able to get away with. To the point where like Bardo even said, I mean, if I remember quote exactly, but he said something along the lines of late in the second half, he's like, oh, Northwestern got away with 3 to 4 fouls right there. It's like, if Bardo is saying that, who is a freaking idiot in my opinion, who never like really likes to challenge the officials aside from maybe like, oh, I don't know about that call sort of thing. Like he never really outwardly disagrees with what's going on unless it's like I don't know, some stupid thing here and there. Like, but for something like that, like, it's bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I could be wrong about this, but this year, this basketball season of 2022-2023, I think I've heard more Big Ten coaches complain about officiating than I ever have, like in post-game pressers, and nothing's changing. That's
No.
what's frustrating. There's no
Yeah.
consistency.
And like, I don't even know like what. And I think part of the frustration is knowing that like everybody's gonna complain, but like you said, nothing. There's no accountability. Like we're gonna see a Courtney Green, we're gonna see a Larry Serrato in the Sweet 16, in the Elite Eight, in the Final Four, most likely. Like we saw Bo Borowski, in the Final Four.
If we make a Final Four, he could pull out the court.
I don't really care, but like
Valentine, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah, but it's like we see these guys that we complain about, and obviously the coaches, have some official that they, respect more, and at least they know what they're most likely to get. But it just, to your point, I've heard and I think part of it too is like people are just mad about Edey because he's big. They're trying to get in the good graces of the officials and just trying to, point a narrative out there or whatever. I'm not sure because I feel like that happened last year
too, though.
Oh yeah, but I kind of felt like this happened last year in the tournament where, Zach shot a ton of free throws in the Texas game, or Purdue did, and then it's all people talked about. And then St. Peter's game, they were like straight, mugging him and nothing, which is, part of the, I think what's frustrating is like the recipe to beat Purdue, at least the last 2 years, has been like, obviously pressure the guards, hope they're not shooting well, and then just beat the ever living crap out of Edey and hope they don't get called. And that's exactly what Rutgers did. Indiana, to be fair, like they played, I think because mostly it was Trey Jackson doing in foul trouble, like they played straight up for the most part. It was just the worst first half in the season combined with their best first half. But Northwestern and Rutgers just beat the ever living crap out of them. Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it was just frustrating. I go back and once again I was listening on the radio. We were up 8 with about 3.5 minutes left. Come out of a timeout. Northwestern misses a 3-pointer, so we get what we wanted to get out of them. We don't get the rebound. They kick it out to wide open 3, hit it, give it down 5. Then they steal the ball out front, layup. So to get within 3, so your 8-point lead dwindles down to 3 in a matter of like 28 seconds. And then the game wasn't the same after that. That was one thing Blackman and Riddell kept going back to. If Purdue gets that rebound, we're probably sitting here tonight recapping a win.
Yeah, because Audige was, for whatever, thankfully for all the game, he got a lot of good looks, couldn't hit the rim, or he was hitting the rim, but couldn't connect. It was just like every time he shot, I was like, "Oh boy, is that it?" And then he missed me. Like, "Oh, thank God, we dodged a bullet there." And then that one. There's a couple times. That's one thing that Northwestern did really well. And again, I think it was just they just were hustling to the ball more, or whatever it is. But they, got the offensive rebound, gave Audige a second chance, and he made us pay for it as a veteran guard will in this league. But yeah, it was just some of the hustle plays was tough to watch. Like we didn't really get many offensive rebounds as we're accustomed to, which is kind of part of our offense was, just having a Caleb Burst or Zach Edey, getting an offensive board and putting it back up. But that did not happen much at all in this game.
Yeah, we out-rebounded. Of course, like you said, we didn't hit 3 from the midway point in the first half on, and we had a lot of looks in the second half. Hit 1 or 2 of those, we're probably talking about a win instead of a loss. 16 turnovers. That's been 3 games in a row where Purdue's had double-digit turnovers, even in the win against Iowa. A lot of turnovers. A lot of Purdue fan base wants to call out the freshman guards, in particular Braden Smith. But Braden responded against Iowa. Yes, he had some turnovers, but he had a career high 24 points. So I'm hoping that's what we see out of him this Thursday night in College Park at Maryland, which now becomes it was going to be a difficult game no matter what, but it becomes just an absolute crucial game.
Yeah, it becomes, I was kind of taking this game as the Northwestern game as a win. But if we win that one, we'll probably lose Maryland. It is what it is. Maryland hasn't lost at home in conference play. They've only lost 1 game at home all season. UCLA, which I think UCLA boat raced them in that one. But they're tough. So when I was like, when we dropped the one Northwestern, I was like, oh boy, this could get get tight real fast.
Purdue's now dropped back-to-back road games after being undefeated on the road for quite a while, and that's 2 out of the last 3 games they've lost. It is Big Ten on the road. It's very tough to win on the road, but I can definitely see a cause for concern. I mean, there's things they have to clean up, and it's starting to remind me, and I hope I'm wrong, starting to remind me of the 17-18 team that had that huge red hot streak and they hit a wall kind of
in a row.
in mid-February. And even though they made the Big Ten tournament championship and lost to Michigan, then they would make the Sweet 16 and lose to Texas Tech, which we'll never know if they would have won with a healthy Ozzie Koss. They just never found their footing like they did before they hit the skid. And I'm hoping that's not what Purdue's starting to hit here.
I mean, I like the mentality of this team a lot more than I did last year.
Right.
They seem to respond really well. But yeah, going back to Koss concern, I mean, I know with Braden specifically, he had a great game against Iowa, and then there was a turnovers in the second half, which there's some concern. I think he was gassed that game. I think he was gassed in the Northwestern game too, which is probably my bigger concern, just the depth, especially now with these guys. Now, I mean, people know what to do. They're gonna pressure the crap out of them and really beat them up, especially being younger guys and smaller guys. To the point where by the end of the game, he's just absolutely wiped and mentally, physically exhausted. I mean, he had some pain. I obviously cleaned up the officials, but he had some really bad turnovers. He had one. I think we were down one. I think we were down one, and he drove and got up in the air and threw the pass like behind him, and there was nobody within 20 feet and just went right out of bounds. It was like right when that happened, I was like, "This is."
Is that the one where he thought Gillis was there, but Gillis was cutting to the hoop by that point when he threw it?
I can't remember. I just remember he just threw it because he was driving and he threw it. What would have been like almost like an elbow three, and there was nobody even close. He basically threw it to Painter on the sideline. Yeah, that was kind of a backbreaker, but there was a couple times where he got up. He does this thing where he drives and he gets up in the air, and usually not a whole lot of good comes when you leave your feet. And we saw it with Ivy last year,
right?
And if it's not good for Ivy, it's not going to be good for Braden. So I mean, obviously, he's a freshman. He's going to have that. But you just hope that in these games that David Jenkins can spare him and play well enough to let Braden get some rest, so that by the end of the game, he's not just running on fumes every single time. I think that's going to be probably that was part of the problem yesterday. Was he just wasn't sharp towards the end of the game, and that's what cost us.
Yep, he's got to be a lot more sharp at Thursday night. Of course, that's a 6:30 game. Maybe that plays in Purdue's favor a little bit. I mean, it'll be a good environment, I'm sure, but 6:30 games are hard to get the crowd there right away, at least.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to take advantage maybe of the beginning minutes. But Northwestern had a good crowd yesterday. A lot of Purdue fans on hand there. Once again, Purdue gets court rushed on the road. That's 6 of the last 7 road losses now. And I got to think Thursday night, if they get beat, Maryland will do it too.
Yeah, I mean, we dropped to third in the rankings. But I mean, for a program that's trying to kind of get back, I mean, obviously they haven't been down for very long. I mean, they were, think back to the Melo Trimble days, not even too long ago, and they were winning the Big Ten championship. But they've had, some rough years, especially just even the last couple of years. So that'd be a, signature win. They beat Indiana at home last week, or right before the Purdue game. So a couple weeks ago. Yeah, they'll be looking to do the same. It's a hostile environment. They're not the nicest people as Purdue players have experienced. So yeah, they're gonna be. I mean, thankfully they've already played at they've played at the Breslin Center. They've played at Assembly Hall, which is about as bad as it gets. So they'll be ready. And I think definitely these guys kind of thrive on some of that stuff. I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, just worry about the you don't want things to get sideways on you quickly.
Sure. Good question here by Mitch Melton on Facebook. I know we've talked about this in the past, but it's been a little while since we brought it up. He says, I know it's early to be thinking about this, but will Edey stick around for another year? He's having a career year, great college player, but will he, how's he going to fit in the NBA with the 3-ball?
Yeah. I go back and forth on it all the time just because, I mean, as we're kind of seeing on the world of NIL, guys are sticking around, the guys that are, fringe NBA guys, just because they have a chance to, make good money, as we see, Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, or, it was not a secret that they're getting paid well over 6 figures to stay in Indiana for another year. I think Edey's making good money this year as well, even though I know the rules are a little bit different for non-citizen of the U.S., but he can still make money. There's ways to do it, legal ways to do it, as Purdue does. I think he's being rewarded pretty well. So you got to think, if you want to do that, someone would step up. And honestly, part of me thought after yesterday is like, maybe he does want to stay on because they don't want to you don't get the crap out of him for a whole year. Because yeah, people know what he can do now, and what I worry about is just someone, just trying to take him down, early in the season or something. Some scrub come off the bench for some no-name team just trying to hack a shack him and hurting him.
We don't want another Cal State Fullerton incident.
Right.
But no, it's a great question. I think it's a question that's going to get asked and talked about clear to the end of the season. And I could see it going either way. I mean, the mock drafts at best have him getting drafted in the 50s, which is late second round.
Yeah.
Two undrafted. 20 years ago, he's probably a lottery pick, maybe the number one pick. But the NBA's changed so much with the pick and pop, and the big guys haven't been able to shoot threes. And I think Trace Jackson Davis will be an NBA player. I think he's developed his game enough, but I don't know how long he sticks because he can't shoot anything outside of 5 feet. I don't know why he doesn't try to shoot a jump around the free throw line once in a while because free throws are fine. But going back to Edey, I think it's more depends on how Purdue finishes the season. How far do they get in the tournament? That would be my answer.
Yeah. I think he loves it here, and I think if based on the year he has, I don't think he's in it for the awards, but I mean, if he gets all the accolades that people are saying he's going to get, but Purdue bounces in the Sweet 16 or round or whatever it may be, he could say, we're basically getting everybody back minus Jenkins. Like, why not try and
run it back? Yeah,
run it back. Everybody gets better. People get better. Maybe it can be a lot more attractive for it'd be a similar situation. Actually, it won't be as similar because in the offseason we didn't really think Brady was going to be a starter, but like maybe you could get a better quality backup point guard who just wants to, play on a winning team. And that could be more attractive. I mean, I like Jenkins a lot. Maybe get someone maybe more of a point guard sort of player. But yeah, I mean, you got to think if Edey comes back, we'd probably be preseason number one. If just maybe if you look at North Carolina, I mean, they brought everybody back. I mean, granted, they went to the championship game, but they were an 8 seed. It's not like they were, no one really expected them to go to the Final Four, but they are on the bubble.
Well, Zach Edey's mom's so popular, she could run for mayor in West Lafayette or Lafayette and win it. And she could run for governor and she would have the vote at Tippecanoe County. So, that's not a problem there. It's going to be fascinating to watch and keep track of and see how it kind of develops down the stretch here. Going back to Purdue's Big Ten title contention. 2 games ahead right now of the field. And, you got at Maryland remaining, Ohio State at home, Indiana at home, at Wisconsin, and then Illinois at home. You still feeling pretty good that Purdue hangs on to this, or how are we feeling now?
Not feeling great. Granted, and I'm looking at it only from just like the Purdue perspective, like what Purdue has to do. Granted, because everybody else has to play games and weird things happen, in the conference. But like I look at Maryland, Indiana, and Illinois as games that scare the absolute crap out of me. From a win standpoint, at Maryland just because it's at Maryland. Indiana because they're playing really well. I mean, they've only lost 1 game in the last like 9 or something crazy like that. They're playing really, really well. Granted, Purdue battled back, only lost by 5 after playing the worst half all season. At their place. So you think like. That makes me feel a little confident at home, but they might get Xavier Johnson back, which we'll see how that does. I think Hood-Schifino is a lot better with the ball in his hands than when you have Xavier back. I think that takes the ball out of his hands some, but that's still scary, especially if it's tight. Like my hope for that game was Purdue has it wrapped up by that point, and it's just maybe there are a few games back, and there's no chance of them even securing. But if they're a game back, man, that game's going to be. I'm going to be throwing up for that game. And then Illinois scares me just because of their long and athletic, which is giving Purdue problems, and they're very physical.
So the magic number is still 3, right? So if Purdue wins their next 3, which would be Maryland, Ohio State, Indiana, they get a tie at the worst.
At the worst, yeah. Yep. Or if Yeah, 3 or I mean, look at Northwestern, Indiana, Illinois. Those 3 teams have.
Well, they all play each other coming up.
They do.
Indiana plays them both this week.
Yep. Let's see here. Yeah, Illinois, Indiana, Northwestern. Yeah, all have 5 losses. So yeah, we need them to drop. They're all going to drop some. But yeah, Purdue has to, I think, win at least 3 to. As of right now, obviously, there's gonna be some cannibalization there, but 3 definitely to be safe.
I think Purdue does hang on to win it. It wouldn't shock me if they lose one more. If they lose more than one, I will be surprised as of right now. What do you think they got to do to? Because right now they'd be a 1 seed. They wouldn't be the overall 1 seed, but they'd be one of the 4 1 seeds. What do you think they got to do to keep on the 1 seed line going forward?
Oh man, because probably Alabama, Houston, Purdue, maybe UCLA, maybe.
Kind of what I'm thinking.
I mean, Arizona was up there, but they dropped one over the weekend.
Bad loss to Stanford.
Bad loss in front of like 30 people. I don't think you can really drop 2 before the end. I mean, I feel like if you drop 2 in the regular season, that's you gotta get to Sunday, the Big Ten tournament. I think if you lose just 1, you can probably afford to lose Saturday.
That's exactly where I am. That's exactly where I am. Yeah.
I guess it also depends on who you lose to. If Purdue loses on Thursday, that's not a bad loss by any means. I mean, I know Maryland's kind of like not on the bubble, but they're around that 8-9 line. You lose at Wisconsin, that's a bad loss. I know.
Or lose at home to Ohio State.
Yeah, or oh god, I didn't want to think about that.
That'd be a really bad loss.
Yeah. I think that's what could potentially bump us off.
No, I agree. I think if they win 4 of the next 5 and then win that Friday Big Ten tournament game, I think they should be feeling pretty good about their chances.
Yeah. Unless see. Alabama, Houston, I guess it'd be UCLA, Arizona, probably fighting for the Pac-12 tournament title. Unless if one of those teams runs the table and they all win their championship, then it might be sweat. If Purdue doesn't get the Sunday, then it might be sweating a little bit. But
2 seed line wouldn't be the worst. We've been there before, but it would be nice to get a 1 seed.
Yeah. You talk about path and the easiest path, the 1 seeds.
The thing, and I don't have to tell Purdue fans this twice because we already do root against Indiana. Keep rooting against Indiana because I don't think, even if Purdue's a 1 seed, we don't want to see them in the top 4 seeds because I think they would place them where Purdue is in Columbus. And if that happens, Indiana fans travel a little better than Purdue fans, unfortunately. Yeah. And they would pack that place and root against Purdue, and there goes Purdue's home court advantage they thought they'd have in the first round or 2.
I don't understand the mindset of cheering for them. I don't even care if they have to beat a team for us to help. Just someone else will beat another team. Just have them lose. Nothing good comes from them winning. I don't care about the rivalry. They can lose. I want them to shut the program down for all I care. They lose bad enough. I think Northwestern is going to lay an absolute egg against them. Super Bowl hangover. I don't like Illinois' chances either, but they're playing really, really well. So, credit to them.
Illinois will be pissed off going into that one Saturday from what happened earlier this year. And they've won their last 2 trips to Bloomington.
They have, yep.
And
you think about Matthew Meyer, he was sick because he was awful in that first meeting, but apparently he was sick. So you hope they can he can have it because he's a good player.
Why don't we go around the Big Ten and
see
what we see happening this week, starting with tomorrow on Valentine's Day. We're just talking about Illinois. They travel to Penn State. Illinois is a 2.5-point favorite.
Penn State waxed them in Champaign.
They did. Illinois should be mad. Illinois had good luck against Penn State under Underwood on the road, but historically, Penn State's been a thorn in their side down there.
Yeah, I think Illinois. I think they cover, but I think it's within 8.
I think Illinois wins too. Penn State's doesn't look like they're going to be a tourney team. They're starting to struggle. No. They're starting to struggle. Nebraska at Rutgers. Good win for Nebraska over Wisconsin over the weekend.
Yeah. I was checking the score of that game, and I saw Wisconsin was up 12 or something. I was like, this is over. And then all of a sudden I look back. I checked the score later, and it's wait, Nebraska's winning in overtime?
They just kept clawing, went on a 22-0 run, and they're playing without 2
Tominaga.
starters. And Tominaga's the Steph Curry of the Big Ten right now. You love him when your team's not playing against them, but you hate him when they're playing against them.
Yeah, bad week for Rutgers.
Yes.
0-2, losing at Indiana, at Illinois, which or without Mag, I think is
it's a big loss. Yeah,
a huge loss. If they would have had them, they might have won both games. They definitely would have won in Bloomington because that was a close game down to the wire. I think Rutgers bounces back.
I do too. Then a game both teams need very badly: Michigan and Wisconsin.
How sweet the Big Ten to put Guard and Howard together on Valentine's Day after what happened last year. Was this last year when they smacked them?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, Michigan blew that game against Indiana. That final possession, they were down one. I didn't think you saw, but they were down one.
I saw after
like 7 seconds left. They had Dickinson 1-on-1, in the post, wide open. You're down one. You don't need a 3. And Jet Howard takes a massively contested 3 and doesn't even hit rim.
Dickerson's your best player. You give him the ball and see if he can do something.
Yeah, Howard hadn't done much that game, but Martelli was sick that game, so it explains why the horrible play draw. But
that game could keep Michigan out of the tournament.
Yeah, they needed it badly because there's some good. Obviously, there's a lot. I think they showed their schedule. And they have. They still have to go at Indiana. I know that they showed that, but they've got plenty of opportunities. But they could also lose a lot of them. But I think Wisconsin wins this one.
I do too, just because that Wisconsin. I don't know why, but Wednesday night, Minnesota at Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State's starting to find a little groove for themselves, unfortunately. Indiana at Northwestern.
I think Indiana runs away with this one.
I think IU wins, unfortunately, but I think it's a close game.
Yeah, it was a close game in Bloomington. It was kind of back when it was a high-scoring game. It was like in the 80s. Northwestern was up 4, and Galloway hit a half-court shot at the buzzer to go down 1. Right. But so I'm sure Indiana will be pissed off about that. But no, it really depends on how Northwestern responds. Did they come out, absolutely flat because they just had their best win in program history, or do they look at it as another opportunity to beat another ranked team at home? I hope they do. But I think Indiana's gonna remember that loss. That's kind of when they went on their little 4-game skid, and their fans will travel just like Purdue did up there. So.
Purdue at Maryland, 6:30 Thursday night.
Oh God, I was gonna pick Purdue, but it's gonna be a nail biter, I think.
I'm right there with you. This was one I hadn't felt good about for about a week. Looking at schedule, actually didn't feel good about today before I recorded one of my other podcasts, and then I changed my tone on the podcast and picked Purdue. So I'm of course picking Purdue. I don't know. I'm just maybe my faith. I have too much faith in this team and Matt Painter to not let themselves lose 2 in a row. But that's where I'm.
They respond well. They have some time to figure it out. It was Sunday to Thursday, so obviously they'll travel on Wednesday. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they got today off just to give them some rest. But they really shouldn't need. And they've already played them once, this is kind of the time of year where it gets crazy too because you played a team already. You kind of know each other, so it's. Second games usually can get a little weird.
Sure.
But at least you shouldn't have to prep as much. You probably know what's coming is they're going to maul the crap out of Edey. They're going to get up in the guard's junk. So it's, kind of know what to expect. So just a matter. I think it really comes down to just the mindset of this team coming into the game. Can they match? Maryland's going to be physical. They don't shoot the ball well, which you just know now they're going to go.
8
of 10 in the
shouldn't even said that. Just spoken into existence.
But can you match their intensity? The crowd's going to be wild. So it's just a matter of just don't let what happened in Indiana happen at Maryland.
Yep. No, I agree with everything you said, and it's gonna be an interesting one. That's for sure. Ohio State at Iowa Thursday night.
Iowa. Yeah. Wow, Ohio State.
They've quit. They stink.
I couldn't believe they were favored, and then they scored
14 points in the first half.
14 points in the first half, and then I checked. I was like, "Wow, they scored 41 points in the game."
They're not good. They're not good.
Oh, that is so bad.
Not good at Here's a gripe I'm gonna complain about. It's got nothing really to do with anything, but it's really ticked me off this year that out of all the weekend Big Ten games, Purdue's only has two Saturday ones, both against Indiana. Every other one's on a Sunday.
Yep.
I don't know why. It just bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
And I hate when we play on Super Bowl Sunday. We never play well on Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully next year we don't get that. Because our buddy who's an Illinois fan was saying that was Illinois last year. They were playing almost every Sunday. And I don't know. College basketball should be played more on Saturdays.
Weird because you would have think usually like Sunday games are like kind of like the primetime games, and Purdue is not expected to be a you expect that. I could see if like Indiana had a bunch because they were obviously preseason number one. Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. I can see them getting a lot of the Sunday games, but it's weird that now we'll probably have a ton next year now depending on if Edie comes back or whatever. Right. But for the CB, I guess next year could be different just because of the TV contract. But I go back because sometimes I love Sunday games just because it's like it's early in the day. Normally, I think I like away Sunday games better just because it's like I don't have to, when you travel, it's like kind of then a lot of your Sunday shot when you get home. But it's hard to be like a Saturday afternoon game.
I know. It just I seem maybe it's just this year. I seem to be more busy on Sundays on the weekends than I am Saturdays. So it is what it is. But as long as they win, I don't care.
Right.
When it comes down to it. Rutgers at Wisconsin at noon on Saturday.
Rutgers and a squeaker. This is going to be an absolute rock fight.
Yep.
It's going to be boring. Like it might be 48-44.
It's going to be absolutely boring to watch.
Yeah.
I'm taking Rutgers as well. Illinois at Indiana at noon on Saturday.
I think Indiana squeaks this one out.
I do too, Evan. I hate it, but I do too.
Mm-hmm. That place will be rocking. They hate Illinois.
They hate everybody. They're a bunch of jerks.
Do. Yeah. But they're playing really well.
Michigan State at Michigan, Nighter on Saturday night.
Michigan State.
For some reason, I'm taking Michigan. I don't know why. I think Michigan State's better. I have Wisconsin beat Michigan early in the week, so I shouldn't be picking Michigan. But for some reason, I'm like, I don't know. Know. Rivalry game, crazy stuff. Penn State at Minnesota.
Penn State, but I think it's a close one.
I agree. I almost want to throw them a bone and give them one, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, I think they're still without some guys. I think I heard that in the broadcast yesterday when they were showing the highlights of their game. But yeah, I like Ben John. I hope he can. And he's got a good guy coming in next year. Another big guy, like borderline 5-star. But I hope he can figure it out. I mean, I like Patino. I was glad to see him go. But they're not good.
No, they're not. Ohio State at Purdue, and we were talking about national games. This one's CBS, and I think Ohio State, they had CBS yesterday. They have CBS this week. If I'm not mistaken, they have CBS next week on Sunday. poor America.
Yeah. Pretty better one by double digits.
It was a close one the first time, but that was a long time ago.
And that was kind of what started their free fall. And then they only won one, and that was I don't know who they beat since then, but
I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah,
it was a close one last year. I mean, Purdue was up big, and then they let Ohio State get back within one or tie it, and then Ivy had the go-ahead 3.
Well, Adele's in the pros now, so we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah. Purdue. Hopefully Purdue wins pretty comfortably.
Shout out to Jaden Ivey. Today's his birthday.
Yeah, it is.
Happy birthday to Jaden. What is he? 21.
Should be 21. Yeah,
21. Hopefully you celebrate. I assume the Pistons are playing tonight. I don't know. Or it's All-Star game week, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, he's in the
Rising Stars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I'm taking Purdue easily in this one. I feel good about it. Maryland at Nebraska.
Maryland. In a close one. They don't play great. They don't play great on the road, but it's still Nebraska.
And Iowa at Northwestern.
I think. Ooh, man.
I'll take the Cats.
Yeah, I think I'll take them just because they're at home. I think it's interesting because obviously Iowa's all offense. Now, granted, they run a great press. Obviously gave Purdue fits, but that's kind of what Iowa does. But I think Northwestern can match their physicality. They're a pretty good defensive team too. But I think just being at home, they get the win.
Yep. So it's going to be an interesting week. Slate of games this week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see where we stand come next week. Hopefully we win them both. And
Yep.
Keep our cushion and keep on get the train back on the track, so to speak. And because we hadn't done the pod in a little while, we've dropped 2 of the last 3 since we've done the pod. The last time we did it was Mason Gillis's Purdue 3 tying record of 9 against Penn State, and we dropped, of course, the frustrating one in Indiana, which I'm kind of glad we didn't do a pod after that one. And then Iowa win, and then the loss yesterday to Northwestern. So here we are. So. Any final thoughts? Basketball, football related? Not too much going on football right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope they can hold on. I really hated a lot of the talk, especially when it was like we were 9-1, and then it was like, Purdue's pretty much got this. It's like there's still a lot of games left, and the one thing that I am a little concerned about is when you look at the standings. So we'll say top 5. So Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State.
Yeah.
Purdue is 2-2 against those. We haven't played Illinois.
Yeah, we're 5-3 in against the top half.
Yeah,
and the bottom half we're 7-0.
Yeah, so that's where I get a little concerned.
Yeah.
But I said I have a lot more faith in this. I hope turnovers have got to be under control.
Yeah.
Again, Zach had 6 yesterday. Granted, some of them could have been, because of he was getting, which you don't usually see him say much, but I haven't watched the video, but there was a video of him, post game, and everyone was saying that you could tell he was very, very frustrated, which hopefully, maybe bodes well on Thursday. Just come out pissed off. Zach can be great because he was pissed off in the second half. You could tell, and he just dominated. Bless you.
Thank you. I muted my mic in time.
But he could tell he was we got him the ball and I think it wasn't that I think it was yesterday. It was it was tight, and then all of a sudden we were up 8 or 9 just because we gave him the ball and he scored right away. They couldn't stop him.
Yes.
Which I don't know why I just remember this, but shout out to Ethan Morton, had a spinning fadeaway.
Yeah.
Like when he shot it, I was like, what the holy crap, it went in. I was like, thank God it went in. It was one of those things if that would not have gone in, I've been like, what are we doing?
The radio team was hilarious on that. You're like, oh my gosh, didn't know Ethan Morton had that in his bag of tricks.
The announcers, the TV announcer said that Painter kind of gave a look like, whoa, that's we've seen from him. Hopefully some shots fall. I mean, it was so frustrating with some of these games, especially maybe so Rutgers and this Northwestern game, Indiana game. I think you just gotta tip your hat to them. They just kicked our butts in the first half, and it was just a little too much to overcome. Northwestern and Nebraska weren't great shooters, and we had some good looks, especially yesterday. I mean, Newman played great defense. Shout out to Newman. He didn't play much at all against Iowa, and he frustrated, but I thought he played great defense yesterday. I think it's part of the reason Boo Boo didn't go off on us in the second half. He gave some really good minutes. It just sucks that he had a couple great looks from 3 and just couldn't get them. Mason had some good looks, couldn't hit them. Lawyer really struggled. I think again it's just
they're starting to get physical with Lawyer too off screens, and he's struggling.
Yeah,
with it.
Which again is it's what's again kind of like what we've talked. Kind of running theme for this year is what sucks about having expectations now is just you kind of expected that to happen with Lawyer. Just he's young, freshman. He's obviously still has a lot of room to grow, but if we were middle of the pack, Big Ten's hey, it's just kind of what happens. But now it's now that we're vying for a Big Ten championship once, it's God bless it.
I know.
We can't have him scoring 2 points.
Yep.
That's just I guess was so frustrating because that's I think I saw some people on the boards too. It's there has to be a lot that goes wrong for Purdue to lose, it seems like. But it's happened, and we've seen it happen in the tournament last year with St. Peter's. Granted, this team plays a lot better defense than that team did. Better team defense, I should say. But yeah, you get one of those games where the officials decide they don't want to call much on the inside, and shots aren't falling. I think we're a good shooting team. We just didn't show it yesterday, or we've seen it kind of a couple times already this year. But yeah, I just hope the shots can fall on Thursday with that stupid Under Armour ball, which they should be used to because they just play with it on Sunday. So
that's right.
Familiarity with it.
Yeah, they're both Under Armour, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, and so is Wisconsin. It's kind of that weird.
Is Michigan the only Jordan team in the Big Ten?
Yeah, only Adidas are Indiana and Rutgers, and then everybody's Nike everybody's Nike, and then you have the 3 Under Armour schools.
And then Jordan, but which is a branch of Nike's.
Yeah.
Which I assume they play the Nike ball up there. So this is a brand. I don't think Jordan's
I meant usually I always kind of look at the ball because
yeah.
the Under Armour ball has is a weird orange, kind of it's a weirder shade. But yeah.
Yep, it'll be interesting. We'll be on edge of our couches, I'm sure, watching that one Thursday night. But before we go, speaking of the game Thursday nights, a weird time, 6:30. I don't know about you, Evan. I don't know if you and your fiance like to cook a lot on Thursday nights, but we try to here and there at the house, but sometimes it's like, it's close to the weekend. We've cooked all week. We don't feel like cooking. We want to order some food. Pizza's always good to order. Mm-hmm. And that brings us to one of the sponsors of the Boiler Breakdown, which is Mad Mushroom. They've been a sponsor now for the last couple of years of the podcast, and they've been in the heart of West Lafayette, serving Boilermakers since 1993. They're known as the home of the original cheese sticks. Whenever Webby and I like to go to there, we like to sit down and have an ice cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month, which this month, because we're basically halfway through February, is the chicken cordon bleu, which I probably don't need to describe to you because you know what chicken cordon bleu is, but I'm going to anyways. It's Swiss cheese topped with chicken, ham, bacon, and mozzarella cheese, served with a side of blue cheese, starting at just $14.99. So order 2 of those bad boys, and that'll put you over $20. Then you can get your discount of $5 off by using code BREAK5 online, or just telling them in person that the Boiler Breakdown sent you. That is Mad Mushroom. Like I said, discount code online, BREAK5, or just tell them Boiler Breakdown sent you when you go in person. Mad Mushroom, madmushroom.com. Feed your head. And Webby, that brings us to our second and last sponsor of the podcast, The Shop.
The Shop, making quality t-shirts. Started in their garage. Now they've got 2 brick and mortar locations, one in Carmel, one in Broad Ripple in the Indianapolis area. Recently came out with the script Purdue in honor of the Mountain Throwbacks that we've worn against State and now Northwestern. Great quality t-shirts I'm wearing right now. It's very soft, very, very form-fitting. Looks great on you. Great people to work with. If you go online, theshopindy.com, you can use promo code BREAKDOWN for 25% off. They're already starting to, roll out some Indy 500 t-shirts.
And the logo this year's Purdue colors.
That is true.
500,
yeah, it is
sharp.
Yep. Yeah. They just came out with, there's like 107 days to the 500. They came out with a shirt that looked really good. Yeah. Black and gold.
Yeah.
Our promo code doesn't work all year long. It only works for the length of the kind of the football basketball season. So if you are wanting a Indy 500 shirt before basketball season ends, whenever that is, hopefully not till April, get it now. They came up with the scripts, the drum script hoodie. They got drinkware. They got clothing for a lot of the Indiana schools, minus the one up in South Bend because no one cares about them.
No, they're jerks.
They're jerks. But yeah, whether it be Pacers, Colts, Purdue, Indiana, Butler, who had a big win over the weekend against Xavier. Thanks to Eric Hunter going for the dunk at the end. It's still an odd choice, but hey, it worked out. Whatever they've got, you can use promo code BREAKDOWN for 20% off. They said they're great people and Boilermaker owned.
Yep, and if you're way late getting a Valentine's Day gift, hey, stop in tomorrow at one of their stores and get it, or if can't get there, order it online, use the discount code, and it might be a little late, but she'll like it enough.
Better late than never.
She'll give you a pass, or so we hope for your sake. So, all right, Webby. Well, I don't really have any more thoughts. I just want to go on to Maryland, beat the Terps, and make some turtle soup.
You win Thursday, and you theoretically your race is you steal one. You steal one where you thought again, going into the year, we probably really going the last couple weeks, you thought, Northwestern, as much as, give them credit, we all kind of think they're still Northwestern, but, they're second place for a reason because they're winning. You drop that one that you probably should have won, but if you can still win that, I would assume Maryland's going to be favored in that game. I would be surprised if we're favored, it's going to be by like 2.5, maybe.
Well, even if they're favored, it's not going to be by much.
No. You win that one, it kind of races the,
take some sting off yesterday's loss.
Takes the sting off yesterday, and kind of hopefully relaxes the fan base a little bit, because if not, then be a little tight.
Yeah, but the boards aren't fun to be on right now. So
No,
get us back to our winning ways, please.
Yep.
So let's boil up, hammer down, beat the Terps and the Buckeyes on Sunday too.